Today is August 8th. I'm finishing up with blocking for the kitchen cabinets. I also labeled them and I took pictures as far as where everything is. Once the drywall is up, we will remember where those blocks were. So again, that's where the pantry is. I put in one on the top and one in the middle just so it can hold it. And this is where the fridge is gonna go. So there is blocking for the upper cabinets. And then here we're gonna have regular cabinets. So that's the top cabinet blocking. And then for the lower cabinets, I just have it for the top. Just like that. On the other side, we do have some plumbing finished. That's what that looks like, going up to the bathroom. Right there to the bathtub. And then here's the toilet. And here's the water line going down to the basement. That's the two lines right there. This actually is gonna come off because this was just temporary. It's being held by here. And he did put some insulation on the water pipes going down to the basement. And as I said, there's a toilet, so the water for the toilet is going there. So that looks good. And then for the kitchen piping, it's coming directly up from the basement. That's where we are, and the spigot is actually gonna go through here once we're ready to do that. So again, kitchen cabinet blocking on the other side. That's for the top cabinets. Here we can put up to 42 inches of cabinet on the top. On the bottom, we're gonna have the dishwasher here, so there's an 18-inch cabinet space for the lower. This is where the kitchen sink is going to be. It's 30 inches for that. Then again, we're gonna have a 18-inch lower cabinet here and an 18-inch upper cabinet, because from here on it's the stove and the microwave. So I didn't do anything for the stove, obviously, but I made a note that the stove is under here, so it can be wired for electric. And these blocks are for the microwave, up here too. And then on the top for the top cabinets above the microwave. So one more thing I need to do, I did cut this off where it used to be the old chimney support. I couldn't take it out because I would have broken the stud. It's nailed so hard together with some major nails. So I had to cut it off. Also on this side, I cut it flush. And then this used to be the post again for the chimney. And I left it because I think it's just good to have it. The only thing I have to do is I'm gonna have to cut a little slice here because it's sticking out. This is where the pipes are coming up, right? On the other end, I framed it out so we can have a good support for the wall, the backer board. The plumbing is right here for the sink. Plumbing here for the toilet. The vents going out, instead of going through the roof like we thought we have to do, it's actually going out the old hole where the vent used to be. Here's the vent. One pipe going beyond the roof. So I think we're good. Do we have 60 inches in between the two studs? Ta-da! We have 60 1/4, which is what I planned to begin with. I actually have to measure it in other places to make sure that it's actually big enough in all places. So let's look at the front of the bathtub. That's good too. Yes. Before the bathtub goes in, I decided to put in a plywood. That is a 1/2 inch plywood. So when the bathtub does go in, it has a better base. And this is all glued down with construction tough floor adhesive, and then I screwed it down pretty well on the sides and in the middle. That's a good idea because the old subfloor, that's an inch thick, and now I have a 1/2 inch on the top of that, so that's a 1.5 inch subfloor. That's gonna support the bathtub real well. I still have to clean up here, and I realized that this door is left handle, and I might want to change my mind to have a right handle, because how we go into the bathroom from here, here's the window, and here is the switch to turn on the lights. I don't know if it would be better if the door actually opened that way. Main bedroom entrance also would have the same issue, because this is your light switch. I'm coming in and my door is left handle. That means it opens this way. I'm gonna take a look and see how hard it is to actually make it into a right handle opening. The electric panel has been installed. We also have the new electric overhead. That's new. And as far as other progress since the last update, we do have a plug in here now operational. The outside plug was removed, the old one. Upstairs, I've been trying to finish up the framing for the framing inspection. One of the things I've done today is finished this closet. I did cut the doorways for the closets and the doors. So this door is done, ready to go. This closet has been cut as well. And the 2 doors to the bathroom is cut. Ready to get the doors in. And here's the bathtub. So what I'm planning to do is potentially put some blocking here for the panels. I think the other thing I have to do, one more thing, is to put another stud in here, because the panel will fit here, but then there's no support here to fit this panel here, so I gotta put another stud in here, which I'll do momentarily. I also completed patching up the holes where the chimney used to be on the ceiling. I've done the one on the floor, and whenever it's possible I'm going to put in joist hangers. I run out actually, but basically I'm going to put joist hangers anywhere I can, and of course I have to cover that with plywood. That's next. And on this side I've also framed out the chimney hole, and as you can see I used joist hangers here wherever I could use it, and whenever it meets a stud I just use the stud attach it to it. The other thing I'm trying to do is put up an additional joist here, because the distance between the edge and the first joist is just too far. I think it's like 29 inches. So I'm just gonna put in an extra joist in between there and also here. So I need to measure this because I run out of 2x6s. The joists here are 2x6s, so I need, like, I think it's gonna be longer than 8 feet long joist that I have to go and pick up tomorrow, and I need to get 9 more joist hangers. What else is going on? I'm just going around pretty much making sure that I got enough screws in the bottom plates and the top plates. I'm not done with that. I'm still putting screws in there, and I want to make sure that the corners are addressed for the drywall. And as I said before, I do have to reverse the doors before I hang them, except this bedroom door I don't have to worry about because that will open the right way. Oh, the other thing we did is fire blocking. So there used to be a gap here at the end of the floor, essentially, and on this side we had gaps between the studs. So there's wood cut in and screwed in to the studs, and then wool foam around here, fire blocker foam. We used the old wood as much as possible because that's a true 4-inch wide. However, we had to use some of the newer wood here, so it's flush to the front, but because it's only 3.5-inch wide, there's a gap, so that's going to be foamed in. But majority has the old wood, I think. And then we have to also stuff in bigger holes with I guess with some insulation wool. Like here we have some bigger gaps that needs to be addressed. So that's gonna be a whole days of work just to do the fire blocking. This looks good though. So definitely coming to the closing for the framing, but I'm kind of nervous about the inspection. I'm probably gonna fail the first time, but I'll do the best I can to get it ready. I did put up one of the door frames. Since I have to reverse the swing anyway, I took off the door slab and put on the frame by itself. Also, I put in a extra joist up here and on this side as well, going from there. The only thing I didn't do yet, which I have to go up and screw in the boards into this new joist, and finished up here with the plywood. So the chimney hole is now complete on this side, and it is also complete on the other side. And I put joist hangers everywhere I could. I didn't have any for the 2x4s. And that's what it looks like, all covered up. I also found that this leak is probably coming from the vent above this window, the attic vent, and it was pretty loose, so I screwed that in a little bit, but I think I'm gonna have to go up and put some caulking around the opening. After looking at some of my videos, I realized that this vent pipe going out in the bathroom actually is sticking out of the wall in some little space here. So this is where the wall would be, right? So this part is outside of the wall. So I started framing this up. What I did is I cut two 2x4s here, made a strapping. I really don't have to come out all the way here to the joist. I could just frame this up here, just like that. So that's actually not even a foot out from this wall on the side here. From this wall it's gonna be probably about 8 inches. So it's gonna be ending right there, and then I'm gonna have to come down about 8 inches, so it's gonna be a foot by 8 by 8. I put in headers for the window, or it were no headers essentially, and there were also gaps, like you could see the siding out here. So I did foam those in. I still have to screw these in, although they're pretty tight, tight fitting. Here's another one, and so all those will have to be done. Screw it up there, and then I'm gonna have another piece just like this on this side, and then have a bottom to make a box. Getting there, right? I'm gonna have to make something here to attach around the cutout, and then obviously this will have to have a bottom, but on this side I'm gonna also have to have something that can be attached here on this side. So I'm done boxing this up here, pretty much flat here, allows here, flat here. Put in this cross section here, and then I put a lip over it so it can be flat there too. Today I was working on the corners. I used 2x3s so the drywall can have a corner both ways. So this is in the bathroom. That was fairly easy. I had already a corner installed here, but not here, so that actually wasn't too bad. But downstairs I actually had to retrofit this part as well, because I forgot to put that in there. So I have all corners, the outside corners done, because I don't have to worry about the inside corners, because I framed those so they don't need a corner, or they already have a corner. So this again have a corner, and then because I already had the drywall here, I had to go over that. And here's the last one here. So I just had to make sure that this is plumb with all the other studs coming across. The other thing I did is I sprayed fire blocker in the cracks. I'm assuming these holes were made for blowing in insulation. I gotta buy some more of this caulking. Here's another corner, again coming from here. It's gonna be flush with the existing studs, and pulled out a bunch of nails as well as I went along. This one I had to piece together in 3 pieces because this strapping here, I just left that there. I didn't want to take it out. So this one took me the longest because this is the one I had to retrofit. I had to install this behind the tubes that are coming from the AC, and that was a little bit tricky, especially down here. I had to kind of cut it thinner, so corners for the new construction, and this is true upstairs too. I have the corner, so drywall coming this way, right? This way, flat, and then the other drywall coming this way, flat. So there's your corner. The way I built it, I left a gap so the drywall can come out here where my fingers are, and this is where it's gonna get screwed into the stud, and then the drywall that's coming from here, it's gonna end right here. So I also ordered a new window for the bathroom. It's gonna be just like this what I have in the kitchen that I replaced. Same size, but because it's a special order, it will take a couple of weeks at least. I had 2 short sessions of insulation. So the master bedroom is done. Well, the walls are. I still have to do the ones over the eaves and the ceiling. And then we started the guest bedroom and the bathroom. Today is November 6th. I'm working on making the floor stiffer. So here is the floor below where I was just upstairs and trying to shake the floor. And what I'm doing is putting some herringbone strutting across the entire floor. It's 5 feet from the end on this side, and on this side I am not sure how far we're gonna go here. Probably 5 feet again here, but then it doesn't really continuously go to the other side, so the other side is gonna have its own set going across this way. And we'll see how much I can get done, but probably I'm going to just do 2 sets for now, 5 feet from the edge, so that's gonna be 5 feet, and then about 7 feet in between, and then another 5 feet. So I will see how that works, and if I have to do another 3rd set in between, I'll do that. This is where I am. I have not screwed this in yet, but just fitting it and making sure it's the right angle, and it looks good to me. I am leaving a little bit of a gap between them so they're not gonna rub together when they do get activated from the weight up across. I'm finished with the strutting on the 2nd level floor under it, and it's going across all the way through the dining room in this row. And then on the other side, because of all the wiring and plumbing, I did it in 2 parts, where I have a row here just for the living room, and of course it has to stop because the staircase beyond that. And then in the kitchen, I just picked it up approximately there, and my reasoning behind is that I had to avoid all the plumbing and some major wires running through here, so I picked that spot. It's pretty good. It's about halfway probably between that row and the end. I was trying to put in a joist enforcer plate, which is really 2 plates intersecting, and I was able to put one there, one set there. I still have to put the screws in that side. It's kind of blocking me from using the drill, so I'm gonna have to find a hand tool to do that. So that would be fine, but I was trying to do the other one here as well, but I won't be able to do that now because the electric wire there is not gonna allow me to fit it, but that's fine. I mean, I was trying to overdo things, I think. Today I'm going to remove this window. This is not an original window, but was a replacement already. But this part is all broken up, so I do have to replace it. Here is my replacement window, and it needs an existing opening of maximum 28 and an 8. My opening is 29, so I'm gonna have to pad it out with some plywood or some other lumber. And as far as the height, it needs to be 53.5 at least. I think I might have that, but I may have to also rebuild the height. It's kind of a little bit tight. It's hard to measure it with the window in it, but it's about 53.5, so we'll see. The first thing I'm gonna do is remove the trim that's covering the gap between the frame and the window itself, so I can get into the gap, and then I will remove the sashes and going from there. So I cut the caulk. Now I'm going to try to pry it out. On both sides. Okay. So I have to do on the top and on the other side. So I took off the trim. The next thing I'm gonna do is take out the window panes, which is fairly easy. From the bottom, you just pull it up a little bit, unhinge it up here, and then pull up one side, and then it will come out. For the top one, same concept, put it down, unhinge it. Next, we'll take out the screen. It usually is just tensioned it to one side. So push it to the side where the tension is, and then it will come out. Take this out here. And then I can unscrew these. They're usually just 4 screws. There's one up here, and there is one down here on each side. So I'm going to just unscrew those next. And then I have to cut the the caulk like I did before with the saw. I'm going to go in here and cut the caulk. So I took out the window and cleaned up the frame. Took out all the old caulk around and removed the sash from the new window so I can take the frame and dry fit it into the hole. See where we are. Oh, it's gonna fit. Okay. So finally the window is in. As I said, there's only 4 screws. And then I just put back the window panes. That's what it looks like. Now I'm gonna have to caulk this in. And I want to look at the outside and see if I need to caulk there as well. But it looks like I could have probably put a thicker plywood in here. And I also think I'm going to put an extra screw in there because the bottom seems to be a little wobbly. But I'm just gonna shove a whole bunch of caulking here, and that's gonna actually help to stabilize it as well because it acts as a glue. I had to put a shim here, and I did put a little bit right here because it wasn't exactly leveled, but now it's leveled and it's operational. And the top one is working as well. So we can now lock it nicely. The drywalling was done by a contractor, but now we are priming and started to also put on the final coat of paint on the ceilings. This is the kitchen, and then this is the dining room. And here's turning around into the living room. The ceiling color is called Polar Bear, and it's an eggshell finish. And it looks like one coat will be enough after the primer, so we don't have to do 2 coats of paint. And then upstairs, this is the stairway done with drywalling and priming. This is what it looks like going down. Here is the guest room. Again, the ceiling is done for the final coat. Here's the bathroom. I still have to work on the bathtub surround. We did put the top piece on, but the surround is still waiting. And then of course it will be tiled. Here's the master bedroom. Looks pretty good for one day's work. So we're done painting the walls. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's a linen type of color. Very light yellowish. It's not quite white. There's a difference between the ceiling being white and the wall is a little bit of a linen color. So we've done all the walls except for 2 closets. I've been working on the bathtub surround. I put up the cement boards and I completed the seams with thin set. And also I put tin set on the bottom over the lip. So this needs to dry and then I'm gonna use the waterproofing. So this is the waterproofing that I'm gonna use to paint the bathtub surround. It's supposed to have 2 coats. So the next weekend I'm done with waterproofing the top surround. I had 2 layers of sealant put on. I just put some sealant on the edge of the floor as well, just in case something drips and goes through the vinyl floor. So that will stop the moisture to soak into the wood. Continuing with the tiling of the bathtub. I've done so far 11 rows on the back. And it's just going really slow, but I'll get there eventually. I'm starting to work on the kitchen floor. I scraped up all the plaster and excess paint, etc. And I hammered in everything that was sticking out, all the nails. And started putting screws in where the old floor meets the joist. And also I'm gonna screw it down essentially at every joist. I will screw down the subfloor, each board. And this floor happens to be dipping that way. And if you recall, this is the corner I fixed because it was rotten. So it's a little bit dipped in. So what I've been doing is cutting some plywood. I started out with 1/2-inch plywood on this end and then all the way to that end, and then I added later 1/4-inch plywood as it was sloping this way. The old floor here, and it's touching the end of the 1/2-inch plywood that I put in, so it's fairly level, right? So what I need to do at this point, because I've been sandwiching things and staggering it, I'm gonna have to fill in these gaps. So it's gonna be straight instead of the staggered fashion. So I'm gonna use roofing felt, and I'm gonna be cutting this into sizes and stapling it where it needs to be leveled off a little more, to kind of doing a fine leveling. I did not want to do pour in leveler because that would have been heavy, plus there's a lot of holes down at the edge. It would have just disappeared anyway, so that would not have been a good choice. So that's why I'm using plywood. And this is all, most of it is just cut off plywood that I used like in the bathroom and other places, and just screw them in with 1-inch screws, just so it doesn't move. So this is gonna be the bottom of this is where the kitchen cabinet is gonna be. So the next thing I did is I screwed down the floor on the joist, on this one at least. I still have to finish this one here, and there's a couple of more I have to do. But I did clean it up, wiped it up, and then painted it with Kills so it can be sealed before I put down the floor. I'm almost done with leveling. I think I need to do maybe a 1.5 foot section here, a couple of layers. I did read about that. You're not supposed to do more than 6 layers of the felt. But I think I just need to do probably 2 or 3 more layers staggered, so it will eventually be leveled. So that's what I've been doing. The other thing I've done is replace the handrail up the stairs. I made it longer. So now it reaches almost to the end of the wall. I left some space to put in a trim for the door, and then down here it goes pretty much as far as it can. I just wanted to make sure that it corresponds to the stairs. I'm done with leveling the floor with felt paper, and I screwed down the subfloor on every joist, and now I am laying out the underlayment and trying to figure out if the walls are square or not. So what I did, I drew a line 5 inches from the wall, and then on this wall also I drew a line 5 inches away from the wall, and now I'm gonna measure 3 feet this way, 4 feet that way, and make sure that in between it's actually 5 feet. So it's the 3, 4, 5 rule I'm gonna apply here to make sure it's square. I'm gonna be laying the floor this way, the same way as the soft floor was laid, only because this is where the joists are, this way. So it's gonna be perpendicular to the joists. And I'm gonna have to figure out the first row, because this wall is in more than the outside wall. I had laid down the first 2 rows of the hardwood floor. That was the hardest to do. I'm going against this wall here as straight, and that wall is not straight. Essentially just drilling a hole 45 degrees into the lip. And the first row I also drilled through the top to hold it down. every 8 inches, and when I get to the edge, it's about 2-3 inches from the edge, and just hand screwing the whole thing. And it doesn't take long. It's just to me it's easier than going out renting the floor nailer and the compressor, and then I can only do so much a day, so I would have to either rent it multiple times or buy one and sell it. But anyway, first of all, near the wall you can't even use those, so that's fine. And these are actually 5-inch wide planks, so I really don't have that many rows to do. It goes pretty fast. Hope I can do maybe half of the kitchen today. We'll see. A little trick here where I'm not gonna finish, obviously, the rows all the way to the end, because that will be later for the living room. So I am stopping approximately here just so I can continue that way. So what I did is I took a cutoff of one of the planks, and I just put it in a little bit between these 2 planks. So when I screw this down, it doesn't push in or bend in, and it's still gonna keep the space. So when I come back with the actual plank, I'm gonna be able to knock it in here without much of an effort, and just keeping the spacing appropriately. So I just want to come out far enough so I can finish the kitchen up to here, and so we can lay the cabinets. So I need another piece here. I'm gonna put another piece just like that to keep this spaced so it doesn't bend in, pushed in. And looks good. That's all I could do today. We're about to finish up with the cabinet installation in the kitchen. We've done all the cabinets except I still need to install this one for the drawers. This is where the stove's going to be, and also I have to deal with this guy here, which needs a cleat, and it has to come up to that line. Apparently the kitchen is sloping this way a little bit. Still need to level this guy to match with this on the top and on the front. So that's what I'm working on. One of the things I never shown is the finished kitchen floor. It's hard to tell now because I have paper all over it, so we protect it. But the kitchen floor was finished, and I took it out all the way here to the dining room, and I'm protecting it with a cardboard because it's a little lip there. So it looks pretty nice. Here's a little damaged wood, but that's going to be covered by the refrigerator. So other than that, it's pure perfection. This is where we left off, and this is where the jagged edges are, where I put some spacers, and I covered with cardboard and this mat so people don't trip, number one, and also the edges don't get damaged as much, hopefully. As far as that goes, I did clean these. These are okay. This is a little bit off, so once I shim that part up, it's gonna level out better. So I'm gonna keep working on it until it's all good. For this end piece next to the stove, I made a cleat out of a 2x4. I had to taper it because the floor is dipping that way, and the cleat is screwed to the floor, and then I have a little space here where I can screw this piece to the cleat in a couple of places. And also what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to screw this also to a stud, so this will be very stable. And then of course this is gonna have a little piece of marble put on it, marble top. And then I have the stove, and then the rest of the countertop's gonna come from here up to the end. And then this is the space for the dishwasher. I made sure that the dishwasher have enough space, which is 24 inches. Since everything is leveled, I'm gonna cut these shims because now the countertop people gonna come and cut it. So this looks pretty good. And on this side we have the drawers for the pots, the top for glasses and mugs. This is where the coffee maker is gonna be probably. And then here's the fridge opening. My biggest challenge was that this panel was overestimated because I gave them the wrong refrigerator type. So I had to cut this, and I had to cut it with a jigsaw. And I'm just so proud of the work I've done. It's totally smooth. You can tell I did it with a jigsaw. So what I did, I put tape on both sides where I'm gonna cut, and I used a laminate blade, which is basically backwards. It cuts the other way. And I went very slow. Took me about, I don't know, 15 minutes to cut through this panel. But it looks perfect from here, this side too, where we're actually gonna see it. I thought I would have to put some kind of trim here, but I don't. It just, I can't believe how well that turned out. The pantry is pretty tall. Again, it's only 2.5 inches. And I was worried that we can't stand it up, but we were able to stand it up sideways. I have a 3/4 inch filler here, and then I have a 3/4 inch filler here, and that gives actually a 36.5 opening for the fridge, which I think is a good thing. So it's not going to be too tight. That gives the refrigerator to breathe better, I guess, but I thought that's a good idea to put that there because you kind of have this matching with this here. So, and then I have a filler here, so when we open this door it doesn't smack into this panel as much. And then of course there's a filler to match down here as well. So officially all the cabinets are hung. Now we just have to put back the drawers and the doors. See you next time.